Others sent complex employment applications, which Breal dutifully filled out and returned, though he felt his resume should have sufficed. He studied the ads in the Wall Street Journal and responded to anything that remotely fit. He interviewed with a company outside of Philadelphia that made electronic proximity fuses for artillery shells. He could tell by the expression on the personnel director's face that the job was lost when he said that he had never dealt with military customers. Weeks passed. He broadened his net to include companies in the Midwest and South, and finally, California. Most never bothered to reply. Breal concentrated his energies on the house. He scrubbed the brick exterior, painted the wood fence, pruned encroaching branches, mowed the grass, ripped crabgrass from the lawn, changed the filter in the furnace, planted a vegetable garden. The spring rains were heavy that year, and he experienced a bad allergy season. He glared at the newly sprung grass and flowering trees as if they were enemies, and sighed, a man done in by innocent things. As the days lengthened to summer, Breal crouched for hours under the bright sun, weeding his garden, then rested in the puddle of shade under a tree. He thought the neighbors avoided him as he worked around the house week after week. He painted the back porch, while his wife performed the unaccustomed task of preparing his lunch. He learned that at midday she grimly limited herself to salads. "It's hand-to-hand combat, George," she said, "and you fight it out every day at every meal." Breal had to admire Susan's tenacity in the uneven struggle against her Pennsylvania Dutch heritage that insidiously fastened weight upon her robust body. Breal had no such problem. He interviewed with a manufacturer of high-speed computer printers in Tulsa. Breal knew as he spoke to the president that his accent was wrong for the job. He interviewed with a company in Lansing that made automotive electronics, but he had no experience with production lines that output 1 million units a year. He found that at the third interview, his speech had taken on a whining tone, the voice of a supplicant. He interviewed twice more, once with a headhunter who was recruiting for an electronic instruments company in San Jose, then with an ITT vice president who arranged to meet him at the Admirals Club in the Philadelphia airport, and who was continually distracted by women passers-by. Breal became conscious of his age. He watched his wife's apprehension rise as the months passed, and his severance pay was eaten up in mortgage payments, and the costs inherent in staying alive. They no longer ate out, and for the first time, Susan cut money-saving coupons from the papers. Unemployment insurance amounted to little, and they were now depleting their savings. Time had become hostile. Susan found a job in a daycare center, and while she never complained, Breal saw her frustration in the hardened lines of her face and her irritation over trivial things. He mildly suggested she search for something other than spending the day with squalling brats. "Like what?" Susan said, short-tempered now. "There's a recession in the land, remember?" Then she went on. "Maybe you should lower your sights. Forget about management. Get back into engineering. You won't make as much, but it beats not working." Breal did not answer. Some internal map had grown blurry, where he had been, where he was going. The summer passed. Frost came early, and he raked leaves in the cold morning air. Unreality cloaked his movements. He had a slippery sensation, the world gliding by. He left behind, somehow fluid, insubstantial. He stared at his face in the mirror, had difficulty recognizing himself, saw a face disfigured by the loss of hope. Fear lapped at him.